And with regards to my privilege or lack thereof, I mean, I'm not making the case that I haven't had advantages in my life and disadvantages in my life like most people. You don't know anything about my background or where I came from, and it doesn't matter to you because fundamentally I'm a mean white man. That's a hell of a thing to say in a debate.
I got hydrated. Okay, today. Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. So today we're going to be looking at a video of Michael Eric Dyson. Anyways, he's talking to Jordan Peterson, and someone sent this to us, so I don't know exactly what's going on in this, but I understand that he's talking to him about white privilege. I'm trying to find.
There's no such thing of white privilege. Because if there's black privilege, then there is. So everybody, the reason why I say there's no such thing of white privilege is because we all have a privilege.
Right.
So if we all have a privilege, just privilege.
Yeah. To be honest,
everyone has a privilege. If you're handicapped, you have a if you're walking, you have a privilege of walking that handicapped people don't have. If you're black, you have the privilege of calling everybody racist, and everybody else can't call you that. If you're white, you know what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So we all have some sort of. You're white, you have maybe have a privilege because there's more of you here. You know what I mean? Than there are many. You know what I mean? But it's like when they say the word white privilege, the word privilege only gets attached to white people, but not attached to other people.
But here's the real truth: the truth is that we have American privilege. How about that? Okay, so this person sends, cut off his name, and his name is Raymond. Okay, so Raymond just sent us a little message, and he says, "Hello, have you seen this video of Jordan Peterson and Michael Eric Dyson? These liberal intellectuals are just ridiculous and emotional." He says, "I enjoy your videos, by the way." Oh, thank you, Raymond. We appreciate that. We do our best. Okay, but so I have not seen this. I did hear. I feel like I've seen the thumbnail before, though. But we're going to check this out together and see what this is all about. So let's go.
I'll end by saying this. The great American philosopher Beyonce Knowles said that it has been said that racism is so American that if you challenge racism, you look like you're challenging America. We are challenging inequality. We are challenging the refusal to see me as an individual. When we overcome that, have at it, we're all on equal plane.
I think it's fine. I think it's good.
The pot is getting stirred here.
So I've got a couple of questions.
So let's your side spoke, so I'm going to go to Jordan, then to you,
Let's
Michelle.
assume for a moment that I've benefited from my white privilege. Okay, so let's assume that. That's fine.
Assumption.
That's what you would say. So, so let's say, here, let's get precise about this, okay?
Was that very individual of you?
Let's get precise about this, okay?
Let's get precise.
To what degree is my present level of attainment or achievement a consequence of my white privilege? And I don't mean sort of. I mean, do you mean 5%? Do you mean 15%? Do you mean 25%? Do you mean 75%? And what do you propose I do about it? How about a tax? How about a tax that's like specialized for me so that I can account for my damn privilege, so that I can stop hearing about it? Now, let's get precise about one other thing, okay? We'll get precise about one other thing. Now,
Precise?
Yeah, precise, yes. And so, if we can agree, and we haven't, that the left can go too far, which it clearly can, then how would my worthy opponents precisely define when the left that they stand for has gone too far? You didn't like equity, equality of outcome. I think that's a great marker. But if you have a better suggestion and won't sidestep the question, so let's figure out how I can dispense with my white privilege, and so that you can tell me when the left has gone too far, since they clearly can. And that's what this debate is about political correctness. It's about the left going too far. And I think it's gone too far in many ways. And I'd like to figure out exactly how and when, so the reasonable left could make its ascendance again and we could quit all this nonsense.
Okay, Michelle?
Essentially, it'll never be enough.
No.
See, this is what I love about Jordan, is that he is precisely breaking this down, because people like Michael Eric Dyson get so emotional over these things and get rude. So Michael Eric Dyson said before about white privilege, which is why Jordan's even, I believe in this whole debate, which is why Jordan Peterson even brought it up, or actually he brought it up. But I feel like no matter what white people say, it's still not going to be enough. That's why he's saying What, should I give a tax? Should we be taxed for my white privilege? What percentage is it going to take for us to just move past this and move on?
And see, I don't like I said, I don't like terms like white privilege. This is the reason why I would say a lot of people don't like it when, like, if I were to say I'm American first. Because when you say, when you're black and you say you're American first, you give up being black. And the thing is that I don't like words like that because they're weaponized. So like racism.
Yep.
They know that you cannot solve all racist problems all over the world, not just in America. That you don't have, everyone has to have, when you say America's racist, someone said, when you say America's racist, what you're doing is you're giving up responsibility for the individuals who are racist and attaching it to other people. I don't like when people say, you know, things like white privilege or even racism, because the words are not used in literal sense. They're used as weapons. They're used to silence people.
Right.
So, like, as you can see, he got angry when Jordan Peterson attacked back and said,
Yeah,
because when you're white and you aren't falling for the BS, and you're not intimidated by the word, you know, you're not intimidated by the racist word or the white privilege word, and you're not intimidated in front of a black person, they get stumped because now they can't weaponize it to shut you down,
because it's worked for so many years. That attack with this white privilege attack has been going on for a long time. That has actually worked to silence a lot of white people who who disagree. But cannot vocalize that they disagree because they know they're going to get the "you're racist."
Because the truth is that black people benefited from slavery. The reason why we benefit from slavery is because our legacy from slavery allowed us to be Americans. We're not standing outside of the, we're not standing out there as illegal immigrants trying to sneak into a country when black and brown people all over the world are trying to get into this country illegally. So we benefited from people being slaves. We don't want to say that, but the truth is none of us are leaving. Because we understand that if we leave this country, living in Africa would be worse, much worse, because slavery is still legal there. You know what I mean? And so that is what the whole point of using words like white privilege and racism, even using the word black and white. Because those words divide us. Because the instant we all start, it's the instant the black people all start saying that they are Americans, then the puppet masters will be afraid of that.
They're gonna be
because now they've lost control
of
a mindset of a people. You know what I mean? And so this is why I'm always against
I
things
reject it.
I reject those things because I don't think like, again, I don't think Christ would separate us that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that once you start once you know Christ, then you are free.
Yep.
If you're not free, then that means you're attached to man's words, mental things, worldly things, right?
Do you mind if I answer, Stephen? I will answer you, but I just want to answer Stephen Fry first because you talked about, this is how we got Trump, and this is the failure of the left. And so I'm a journalist. I went to a ton of Trump rallies during the campaign in different parts of the country, and you're right. Everywhere I went, I heard complaints about political correctness, far more than I heard complaints about, say, NAFTA. But when you asked people what they meant by political correctness, they called a woman they worked with girl and she got mad at them. And, they could, you couldn't in public wonder aloud whether the president of the United States was really a Muslim. They didn't like that they couldn't make gay jokes anymore. And so on the one hand, you're right, and I've written about this. I think that when you try to, that when people have these prejudices and you try to suppress them, it can create a kind of dangerous counter-reaction. But I also think that, what they were reacting to, again, to go back to the title of this debate, what they called political correctness, the fact that they had to have this urbane black president who they felt talked down to them, which is really what they meant. I don't see a way around that because that is, like I said, that's progress. So to go to the question of when the left goes too far, I mean, to me, it's pretty easy. Violence and censorship, right? I'm against violence, and I'm against censorship.
On Jordan's point about how does he, in a sense, get an equal voice in this debate back if it is implied that his participation brings with it this baggage of white privilege that doesn't allow him to see clearly the issues that are before us.
But that is to be complicit in the very problem itself, terminologically. You're beginning at a point that's already productive and controversial. You're saying, how can he get his equality back? Who are you talking about? Jordan Peterson, trending #1 on Twitter? Jordan Peterson, with an international bestseller? I want him to tweet something out about me in my book. Jordan Peterson, right? This is what I'm saying to you. Why the rage, bruh? You're doing well, but you're a mean, mad white man, and you're going to get us right. And
mean, mad white man. Why? Why would you say that?
Jordan posed a good question. How then do we fix it? See, when you talk to these people about they want to complain all the time about racism, and then you ask them how we fix it, they can never give you a reason because they never want there to be an end. Because the racism in itself gives the power.
Right.
It's the power is in I'm a victim. See, because we live in victim culture. This is the reason why women jumped on it, and the way gay people jumped on it, is because they saw that when black people always, use the word racism, they kind of get what they want. You know what I mean? People back off. No one challenges them anymore. So here come the gays. Well, that's homophobic. Everything that we say
transgender comes. Oh,
is transphobic. Women, that's sexist. And this is the power is in being the victim. Up is down, left is right, in is out. So it's just like anytime you challenge these people, they're always going to make it seem like they never ever give you a reason or a out. So how do we fix this? Well, there isn't any fixing. They never give you a definitive answer of how we fix it. They just keep going on and on projecting onto someone else.
So what happens after they try to pull this they always do this. What happens when they're being challenged about this victimhood thing and they're not allowed to be a victim in this situation, they instantly resort to the name calling. This is like the formula for a lot of ways liberals operate. The moment you challenge something, their intellect in any way, or their position on something in any way, the next thing is always going to be some form of name calling. So what he did there was say, he called out not just a mad man. He didn't say that, not just a mad man. He said a mad white man. And that was the insult, because to Michael, adding that white was hostile. It wasn't just like you're saying, oh, you're a mad man. He added the white to be hostile.
And this happens because when you're an angry person and you haven't resolved your anger, you always project.
Always.
And you're always trying to get somebody, or if you're just manipulative, like I believe Michael is. Yeah, you're just manipulative, because why he's trying to call him white privilege because he's got, he's trending. He's also a very successful black man.
Yeah.
Very successful black man. So while he's trying to say that he's like, oh, look at you, you got all this money. Well, so do you.
So do you. And
but see how he makes himself, and a lot of black successful people do this. They manipulate the masses of black people that don't have a lot of money by making it seem like no matter, even if you become successful, there's still racism. Yeah. And I'm still not better than him. I'm still not. Well, no, you're successful.
You're successful too.
And instead of telling people how to be successful, they've resorted to teaching us how to be victims.
We've pointed this out many times about the Breakfast Club people. All of them are successful capitalists.
Yeah.
Using capitalism very well, it's working well, but they don't want to include themselves in the successful because they have this guilt. Yeah, like survivor's kind of guilt.
And as a black woman, well, that makes me angry when I see a black man making himself a victim for points. And that bothers me because I'm thinking so many black men need black men to be strong. And you're right, and to sit here and play that I'm black and my skin is my sin and everybody wants to come after me, the police are hunting me down, and no matter how much I make, I have to work 10 times as hard. After a while, you sound pathetic.
Yeah. I just want to add before we move forward that let's all just sit back and imagine if Jordan Peterson said, "You're a mean black man."
Yeah.
I have never seen so much wine and snowflaking. There's enough wine in here to start a vineyard. And what I'm saying to you empirically and precisely, when you ask the question about white privilege, the fact that you ask it in the way you did, dismissive, pseudoscientific, non-empirical, and without justification, the truth is that white privilege doesn't act according to quantifiable segments. It's about the degree to which we are willing as a society to grapple with the ideals of freedom, justice, and equality upon which it's based. Number two, what's interesting to me, you're talking about not having a collective identity. What do you call a nation? Are you Canadian? Are you Canadian by yourself? Are you an individual, or are you part of a group? When America formed its union, it did so in opposition to another group. So the reality is that those who are part of group identities in politics deny the legitimacy and validity of those groups and the fact that they have been created thusly, and then have resentment against others. All I'm asking for is the opportunity. The quotation you talk about, the difference between equality of outcome and equality of opportunity, that's a staid and retried argument, hackneyed phrase derived from the halcyon days of the debate over affirmative action.
He's lost.
So do you see what I mean, though? I want you to watch this show and then watch this part again. He never answered the question.
He never answered the question?
You know why he never answered the question? Yeah. Because there is no end to this.
He's babbling.
He's a Marxist.
And
this is what Marxists do.
You looking for outcomes that can be determined equally, or are you looking for opportunity? If you free a person after a whole long time of oppression and say now you are free to survive, if you have no skills, if you have no quantifiable means of existence, what you have done is liberated them into oppression. And all I'm suggesting to you, Lyndon Baines Johnson, one of our great presidents, said, if you start a man in a race 100 years behind, it is awfully difficult to catch up. So I don't think Jordan Peterson is suffering from anything except an exaggerated sense of entitlement and resentment, and his own privilege is invisible to him, and it's manifest with lethal intensity and ferocity right here on stage.
You are only clapping because it sounds good. Okay, but listen to what he's saying. Even after slavery was over and done, there's a 40-year period that he's not even talking about, where he's saying that we have to catch up, or 100 years behind, and we have to, whatever. Okay, there's a 40-year period where black people thrived. Going into Jim Crow. In Jim Crow, black people thrived. Yes.
The problem that happened, I would beg to say, it was the civil rights movement.
Yes,
because before the civil rights movement, there were more black businesses. Black people, the families were more intact. More people went to church and believed in a higher power, and they lived off that. There was no abortion yet. Yeah, that wouldn't have been a thought, because nobody was Well, first of all, most people were Christian, right? And most people were going to church. They wouldn't have ever allowed a law like that to go through. You know what I'm saying? But the idea that he doesn't want to talk about, it's like he jumps from slavery, Jim Crow real quick, and then all the way till now.
That's it. We're forgetting about
this man is sitting here successful, pretending like the only way that a black person is what? Just say you want reparations, that you're just trying to say that. But the truth is, you didn't need reparations to get.
His point holds no water, because you're not explaining. If you're saying that black people were having to try, 10 times harder or whatever, and you guys, the white people had a head start, and we're back here in the back, it's going to take us a while to get, that doesn't explain the black people who actually thrived and started owning businesses.
Black people benefited in America 100 years after slavery than they do now. Right. And the reason for that is because ever since the civil rights movement, and if you want to talk about LBJ, his welfare bill is really what killed not just black people, a lot of white people, but really did hurt the black community. Right. Because it broke up families, it did a lot of things. So I don't know why he would bring him up anyway. But the other part is just like, if black people benefited after that, and it's clear document that they did, then the only thing that could have really changed the black mentality was the civil rights movement. And I think people just don't want to look at the civil rights movement because we're so attached to MLK and the Black Panthers and all this, Stokely Carmichael, all those people that came, with that. We don't want to look at maybe black people don't want to maybe look at them. Maybe there was some nefarious things happening behind the scenes that kind of broke us up. Because how could in 1965 or 1960, somewhere around there, the single mother rate was like 20%. And by the end of the 60s, it had hopped all the way up to 70%. How could that be? How could it be? It would have to be rhetoric of the the so-called civil rights movement, the Black Panther movement, the women's movement, people just being free love movement.
There was no structure.
Up a lot of people. We lost structure.
Yeah, we completely lost our structure, our way, our morals, our values,
our character.
There was a law and order was a thing of the past. All of a sudden, we're just not paying attention to anything. You know, it's you're not paying attention anymore, and people are running rampant. There was just no rhyme or reason to the way people were behaving.
Jordan, I'm going to have to let you respond to that if you will.
Well, what I derive from that series of rebuttals, let's say, is twofold. The first is that saying that the radical left goes too far when they engage in violence is not a sufficient response by any stretch of the imagination, because there are sets of ideas in radical leftist thinking that led to the catastrophes of the 20th century, and that was at the level of idea, not at the level of violent action. It's a very straightforward thing to say you're against violence. It's like being against poverty. It's like, you know, generically speaking, decent people are against poverty and violence. It doesn't address the issue in the least. And with regards to my privilege or lack thereof, I mean, I'm not making the case that I haven't had advantages in my life and disadvantages in my life like most people. You don't know anything about my background or where I came from, and it doesn't matter to you because fundamentally I'm a mean white man. That's a hell of a thing to say in a debate.
Like, stop it for a second. So I was even...
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So I was even going to say that to her when she said that she didn't like violence. You got to really think about what you say, because you do like violence. Because if you had to defend yourself, that would be a form of violence. You know what I mean? You don't like racism, Michael, but you're being racist.
Yeah.
You don't like it when it's happening to you, like violence. You don't like when violence is happening to you. You don't like when racism is happening to you, but you're okay when it has to go the other direction.
So what, like Jordan said, that is true, that they're using a generic sense of the terms.
Right.
So that's a generic sense of violence, the generic sense of, racism and all this. This is just all very generic. See, Jordan and people like Jordan are very specific about what they're saying, and this is that specific part of what they're saying is what the most important thing is in having debates like this, because then you get people like Eric Dyson, this lady, who are just talking broad stroke talking,
right?
And I feel like that's
what liberals do. They're complicated in their answers, but they're broad stroked with their questions.
Let me just say
very brief, because I want to move on to men and women. Good topic next.
The mean mad white comment was not predicated upon my historical excavation of your past. It's based upon the evident vitriol with which you speak and the denial of a sense of equanimity among combatants in an argument. So I'm saying again, you're a mean mad white man, and the viciousness is evident.
Okay. Let's reset. Change.
Okay, so
guys, I think it's obviously more than that, and I think Jordan I'm going to have to find that rebuttal to Jordan.
So Jordan got another applause that was almost complimentary to his, and he felt racist real quick.
Right.
So he wanted to hurry up.
He
wanted to clean it up, but still double down on it. And that's just what he did, and that disgusts me, man. That makes me so upset, because I'm just thinking, this to me, I'm not even disappointed in him, because I think what he's doing is on purpose. And I'm very cautious of people who who first of all can't answer a question that's being given to them. He asked you a simple question. How do we fix this white thing, this white privilege thing? And he couldn't answer it, because the point is not to fix it. The point is to keep it going and make it greater.
That last part of what he's saying there was a bunch of gibberish. He was trying. You know what it was, though? This is what happens when you are in an intellectual debate and you become emotionally driven. Instead of staying in your mind, you start going into your feelings. I was just going to say, what's interesting, though, is that when he came back to double down, the audience didn't clap as hard. No, they didn't. Because he called him a white man, a mean white man again, and because you know why Jordan made sense of it. And the thing is, he's just like, you just called me. You just made a racist comment towards me, and they didn't even think about it. You could tell. Because again, if he had said, you're a mean black man, so you can't, if you point out that a black person is black and you're insult, you're done. You know, you can't do that. So I feel like what he was doing there is that he felt, I think Michael felt like, I probably shouldn't have said that. So now I'm going to try my best to have an intellectual, with a bunch of gibberish, have an intellectual response to what I should not have said. Because it's probably not going to go well over the sound bites. Because now it's going to be, that sound bite's going to come out now. You guys, Jordan stayed on point.
He lost his
stayed,
stuff.
yeah, he stayed on subject. He stayed on point and just had these questions, right? You have the other person who is not staying on point, is literally not making any sense at all. But because he's saying it with authority, his voice comes to a crescendo, we all are to believe that what he said was genius.
Right.
And what he just said was nothing.
He said nothing.
He said nothing. So if you guys replay, go back and just rewind what Michael said that entire time, the conclusion you will probably come up to, if you're really listening to him, is that he said nothing.
He didn't say anything.
And people clap for nothing most days.
For black people, the
yes.
bar is low for us.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? We
Can't say much.
They're very low for us.
We just gotta say some cool stuff like that. Just say some cool stuff out loud.
Platitude speeches, and you know that's what I'm saying. Like people don't really listen to speeches.
They don't.
What they do is they get swept up in the momentum of someone who sounds like they're articulating things, like because they articulate it with passion.
That's why
it looks as though they're saying something right, and you could be completely bamboozled, especially if someone gets you in your feelings.
This is what happened with Barack Obama. Great speaker. 100% great speaker. So we all get into the, you know, not only the ideas of what he's saying, but you get into the way he's talking, how charismatic he is, and it's kind of cool too, right? And so, but you're not really listening to what he's saying. Now, more importantly, you're not researching the man at all. You know why? You're not researching the man at all because he's so charismatic. Yeah. This is what happens with people like this.
Well, we were just saying the other day is why is that the black community reveres Jane Elliott, but no one knows about Marva Collins.
You guys know we're gonna do a video on Marva Collins.
We're gonna do a video.
She's a school teacher in I think Chicago, right? Yeah, I think it's in Chicago. She's a school teacher back in the 70s.
Yeah,
70s. And we'll do a video on that woman because I don't care if one person watches that. That woman is amazing. It's an individual, right? And
she's the reason why I believe in homeschool. Yeah, because I think that public school is trying something with your kids.
Yeah,
but but the thing is but why though? Why is it that that someone like Jane Elliott could go on the Breakfast Club and go on all these different black platforms, the Oprah show, and all black people just love this woman? Yeah, because she's willing to sit there and throw her own race under the bus. Yeah,
that's the thing with the Michael Eric Dysons of the world. They don't want to move forward. They want to stay stuck. They want that. Because he can still keep writing books. As long as we're staying stuck here, black people, Michael Eric Dyson can still write books about racism. Okay? Once a black person gets out in their black mind, starts thinking forward and unlocks, you know, that whole racist narrative that's going out there and that rhetoric that's happening and starts to think another way, a critical thinker basically, that his books are not going to say, he's not going to be able to do anything. Forget about his speeches, forget about his books. The moment black people start thinking above that, he's no longer going to be in business, and neither will the rest of them. But let's know what you think about this here. White privilege, Michael Eric Dyson in general, which I cannot. It's just a mess. And tell us what you think about all of this. We would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. We would love that. And that's it. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye.